the land on which we gather, the Turrbal people of Yagara land, as well as the Woiwurrung people of the Wurundjeri land. We recognise their continued connection to the land and waters of this beautiful place and acknowledge that they never ceded sovereignty. We respect all Turrbal and Woiwurrung elders and ancestors, and any First Nations people here today.
I can't take it anymore!
Good afternoon, good evening, good day, and good morning, Blurtsters, wherever you are around the world. You are listening to the Blurt.
Good evening. You are listening to the new Blurt. You've got the host of the new Blurt, the Kegsta. If this is the first time that you've visited us, thank you very much. And if it's not, good evening and good morning or good afternoon, whatever it may be. Before I go on, I'd just like to say that tonight I'm coming to you from Wurundjeri country, Kulin Nation of the Woiwurrung people. Sovereignty was never ceded, always has been and always will be Aboriginal land. Tonight we are very lucky. We have a special guest on a Do Yourself a Favour segment. We have Ange Lavoipierre. I hope I've pronounced it correctly. And she's many things. She's a journalist, she's a comedian, she's a writer, she's a producer, she's a podcaster, so many things. But anyway, we will talk about those different things with Ange very, very soon. And then tonight, as you probably do know, it's budget night. So you find out how much money you're going to get back in your pocket or taken out of, as the case may be, with Jim Chalmers, charming Jim Chalmers, they say. With all that news. So before I say anything else tonight, I thought I should do this because I do this every week and it's always fun doing it. So I'd like to introduce the co-host of the show, Wencee. They still love you, Wencee. They still love you.
They still do. They still do. What we don't love is WhatsApp. They're down at the moment.
Yeah, what the hell? Yeah, what the hell is going on?
What the hell? WhatsApp? No idea, but just found out from a tweet a little while ago, and sure enough, went into WhatsApp, and just says connecting. So, oh well.
There's
no social media for a while. No information. I can't find anything at the moment, but yes. Thousands and thousands of people.
No. I would have thought millions.
Millions. Well, yes.
I would have thought millions.
That is true.
Thousands. Yeah, I would have thought. But it's funny because I think this happened a little while ago, and that was one of the reasons that I ended up going to Signal. So I went to the Signal app quite a while ago and stopped using WhatsApp pretty much.
Yeah.
All the time. Because I remember it went down last time. Because isn't WhatsApp owned by Facebook?
Yes. Sorry, Meta. It's Meta. Meta.
Whatever. Yeah. Whatever. Whatever he reckons he wants to call himself this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, absolutely. So so Facebook strikes again on Meta or whatever the hell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Watch the people jump over to Signal temporarily before they come back to WhatsApp.
Well, that happened last time too. There was millions of
big influx. Yeah, exactly.
There was, and then as you say, when WhatsApp came back online, they came back on. But I'm not doing that. I'm quite happy to be on Signal. Yeah, quite happy.
Exactly.
But talking about around the world and being on the other side of the world, Richie Sunak. What do we know about Richie Sunak? Do we know much?
I know he's a millionaire, multi-millionaire.
No, I believe he's a billionaire. Not a
millionaire. No. His wife is the billionaire side. He's a multi-millionaire. So I think he's worth about $200 million just, whereas his partner's $1.5 billion on their side, on that family.
Yeah, so. it's they're struggling. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
But I mean, as he has said many times, he knows how the other half lives.
Oh, yeah.
His half.
Yeah, the wealthy half. Actually, it's not really half, is it? It's really more like 5%.
Yes, you're spot on. You're 100% right. It's not a lot either. I mean, when I was in the UK a while ago, the average salary was, what was that, nearly 10 years ago? The average salary was around, I think, probably £40,000, maybe something
Wow,
like that.
okay. Yeah.
And from an IT perspective, you weren't getting sort of a lot more than that. If you were going permanent, I mean, contracting, was far better in that perspective. But the reason for that was that you're getting stupid salaries in London, and especially when you're right in Fleet Street and in the banking areas, etc. But then when you go up north, I had friends that are earning terrible salaries like £25,000 and things like that. But so that's where it all averages out. It's not a fair average. So it's a little bit like with the budget tonight. I mean, I think Dutton said that the average salary, permanent salary, I think he said salary or permanent salary, I can't remember, in Australia was 90,000, which is just not right. It's absolutely, totally nowhere near it.
No.
It's more like 70,000.
I think you need to take the median. So it's all mathematics. So I think if you take the median, it's closer to 60, 65,000, which isn't much these days.
No, you're 100% correct. 100% correct. I don't think maths is his strong point. Isn't he an ex-copper?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I mean, come on.
So how long do you think Rishi's got? I
personally think he will have a little bit longer than Liz Truss.
Yeah, so more than 50 days.
I wonder if they'll put another lettuce out just to see. Or maybe some other sort of vegetable. See if the mandarin, dries out in 44 days. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Because their general election's not till January 2025, so they've still got another 2 years.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about this too. I don't know if they're going to push that hard to try to get a general election up. I mean,
I don't think he will now.
Well, no, he can't. But I just wonder if there's enough, sort of crowd control, i.e.,
the public and the Labour Party.
Absolutely.
I doubt it.
I know, but it'll be interesting. It will be interesting. See what happens. I think the inflation there is about 10-point-something% at the moment. So, it's not a happy place. The US is the same. I think around about 10% as well. Yeah. So I know they're scared here, but again, we're in quite a good position. But something just not in the best of positions is Alex Jones, who's owner of InfoWars in America, which is a terrible YouTube channel that basically just spouts out fake news all the time. And what he was particularly famous for was saying that the Sandy Hook massacre about 10 years ago, I think it was with crisis actors, and it was all just a hoax, etc. But and he's just kept going on and on and on, and just been perpetuating that spiel for a very long time. And now he's coming home to roost, which is quite nice because the judge gave I think it was $1 billion, just under $1 billion US, I think it was. That he has to pay the victims of the Sandy Hook massacre, etc. And the court cases and the class actions are not stopping either. Good. So, and I think he's worth about 300 million or something.
Okay.
So
hopefully that silences him forever.
It would be nice. It would be nice. But, there's plenty more where that comes from over there.
Yeah.
Actually, talking about plenty more where that comes from, rain.
Yeah.
Have you been getting much in Queensland? I know that you had your flood earlier, but
we did.
Gee whiz.
Well, we had a bit of a surge this afternoon with storms and heavy rain, but compared to you guys, no, nothing like it. So
not at the moment, you mean? Well, it's
not
interesting.
at the moment.
Yeah, it's interesting because where I used to live, if I still did live there, I would have had to get a boat to get out of our area. It was so flooded. It was just ridiculous.
And to get to Flemington.
Absolutely. So I mean, and that's another controversial thing that'll come up as well regarding the coming
weeks.
The race wall and etc.
Yeah.
But Oh, and talking about controversy, the bomb spending. I'm sorry, I'm not calling it the Bureau. I don't give a shit what they say.
The last time you'll hear that word here.
Yes,
it's the bomb.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Because I was listening to a potty this morning, and they were saying that it wasn't just 220 or 300 million. I think was it a million or 1,000? I can't remember. No, it couldn't be a million. Must have been 1,000.
No, it was 220,000 is what I remember.
Yeah. But apparently it was 2 or 3 times more than that.
Right, interesting.
But that hasn't fully come out yet. But I think you'll find there'll be more investigations soon. So watch your spaces at work.
I'm sure.
But before we go to our magnificent guest this morning, Ange, because we have her waiting on the line, we don't want to waiting very much at all. I thought we would get a short word from our sponsor. If I can just find it, would be nice. Here we go. We'll be back in a minute.
Good morning, everyone. There are very few broadcasters I can hold myself up to that are equal, if not more exemplary than myself. And I just want a big shout out to the new Blurt. The new Blurt. Oh, they are fantastic. Such wonderful voices. Never before would you as an audience be so enthralled, and not only enthralled, but also informed with the news of the day, thanks to the new Blurt. Oh, Blurt. Sounds like my latest diagnosis. Oh, God. Australian Digital Holdings, ADH. Don't ask me what it stands for. We love the new Blurt.
You're listening to the new Blurt with Wencee and the Kegsta. Next up, do yourself a favour. And tonight on the show, we're very lucky to have Ange Lavoipierre. I know she will tell me exactly how to pronounce that. Amongst many things, she was co-host of ABC's daily news podcast, The Signal, and has more than 15 years' experience in newsrooms, from covering from far-right extremism to elections in Myanmar. She also writes for Gruen and Question Everything. She's a producer, creator of Schmeitgeist, and as I said, The Signal podcast. You can find her on the Chaser podcast or stages around the world performing her one-woman comedy shows. And in the Adelaide Fringe in 2020, she picked up the weekly Best Comedy Award. And some of the shows that she has performed is Duolingo, Zealot, and Final Form from a few years ago. I could go on, and we will. But before we do, good evening, Ange.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
G'day, Ange.
Very, very good. My first question, Ange, it's a family show, so are you wearing pants?
I am. Just for today, I thought just because, I'm here at the ABC and they've got really strict pants rules at this workplace. So.
Oh, what?
COVID
rules don't apply anymore?
Yeah. No.
Like the work from home COVID rules?
What's the world come to, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Now that reference comes from obviously one of your one-woman shows that you were doing. Was that Zealot?
Yeah, that was Zealot. That
was Zealot.
I can't. Doing a comedy show is a funny thing. You can sort of see how a lot of religion ends up the way that it does, because like a comedy show, you'll just do the thing over and over and over again, and somewhere along the way you decided to do things a certain way. And then that's just how you do them from then on. And in the case of Zealot, at some point I decided not to wear pants. And that's just a tradition that continued. So
it's a brave choice. It's a brave choice.
Well, it was like I had a lot of costume changes, and I think it just like my neutral state was no pants. And then I would sometimes I'd put on jackets. And I think, there were, but it really, it was beautiful at doing the old lower expectations and then exceed them trick. So reviewers would see me I remember more than one review started with I did wonder what I was in for when I saw Ange scramble on stage without any pants on. And so, they go, oh no, she's a lunatic. And then I can, say a sentence and all of a sudden everyone's quite relieved.
Well, I'm glad we got to the bottom of that one. And no pun intended. So.
I hope you don't listen to too many reviews. Is that something that you focus on? Because I know some people don't like listening or reading their own reviews.
Yeah, I think I think good criticism is a really valuable thing for artists, like thoughtful, meaningful criticism. We should be thankful for that kind of thing. Now, not all of it is like that, and it's just the luck of the draw. I like to run mine through other people, so I'll say hey, so and so, can you read that review for me? And so they'll be like, you don't need to know about that one. Or obviously most of them are fantastic, but yeah.
Of course, we would not doubt you for a second. Do you have you obviously have been doing comedy for a long time, and you've been a journalist, for 15 years. So, or maybe more than that now. So my question would be, your diversity of interest jobs-wise, is that something you want to continue, or do you want to sort of go straight down the comedic route? That's what you prefer to do if you could do that full time?
No, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm a little bit. I've always been like this. Try to do too many things, but no, I've got all kinds of. I'm trying to write a book, and I'm trying to.
Nice.
I want to write more TV. I just would like to do it all, really. I'm not very good at picking one thing, but
just not enough hours in the day.
Hours in the day. I'm quite hyperactive, and I think it'd probably be good for me just to pick one thing every now and then. But I do like to do it all.
When you were working as a journalist, what was one of the hardest stories that you did?
Oh,
yeah,
that's an interesting question. I think I've really. There's subject matter that is just hard to cover. That is just. I think let me think about this. Okay, so I think I really struggled with crime reporting because on the one hand, the subject matter is you're just kind of looking at the worst parts of humanity in some ways, like murder trials and things like that.
Yeah.
And
it be hard for anyone, really.
Yeah, but it really gave me pause to kind of wonder about the utility of crime, of reporting on crime, because what you're talking about is a specific story, and it doesn't necessarily tell us a great deal about humanity or what the public good or how we stop these kinds of things from happening. Reporting on systemic injustice, absolutely, there's a point to that. But I think we can often get a little bit fixated on one crime, and that's what contributes to kind of law and order narratives about, lock them up, throw away the key kinds of things that are not, the kind of rhetoric that's not actually really very good for us as a society as a whole, and just sort of demonizes and it's how we end up with mandatory minimum sentences and things like that, which are ultimately kind of are really negative for the fabric of society and societal cohesion. And anyway, I'm off on a bit of a tangent, but I think I kind of went like, wow, it was my first kind of one of my first kind of crises of faith in journalism. I was like, oh, is there? And I think there is utility for it. You can do it well. And, there is value in showing people stories about themselves, reflecting society back to itself. That is a job of journalism as well. But, it's just too easy. And I think so much crime reporting does and court reporting does get a little bit stuck on the salacious.
Yeah. There's so many true crime podcasts, aren't there now? I mean, I personally, I can't listen to those because they were true and it was a crime. It's not something I particularly want to, listen to. But just going on to what you were saying before, I was listening to Stephen Fry today, and he was talking about how nuances are so complicated, but being so black and white is so easy. Like a 3-word slogan or something you sort of throw away. It's really easy to do that. But, democracy is really complicated. It's not easy to explain. So.
Yeah. And I think, we love a villain. We love to hear something or someone cast out and cast down because it reinforces to us what's great about us. We go like, we're not that. Isn't that
Yeah.
fantastic? I didn't kill anyone today. Good on me. And it's
Yeah.
just really, it's a good feeling, you know? So I think I get it. I get it why people want to hear crime stories, but I don't think it's always what is good for us.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that totally. Wencee, excuse me, you actually brought up Angela's. Sorry, Ange, do you like Angela or Ange? What do you prefer?
Angela makes me feel like I'm
In trouble.
Like I'm in trouble.
No problems. Ange, it is absolutely no
I'm
worries.
back on the Angela chat. I'd be so grateful.
Absolutely, no problems whatsoever. You brought Schmeitgeist to the show. Did you want to ask?
I did.
Yes,
So
yes.
we're a podcast ourselves, and we often review podcasts like the ones that we listen to. And I came across Schmeitgeist and just raved on about it because I heard a couple of episodes. And so we've been fans of yours for, I think, since I started listening to it about a month or two ago. Because it was in August, I think it was, when I reviewed it. So how did you come about with that concept of doing the pop culture and bringing that to life?
Oh, I just
would you pay $900 for a pair of Crocs?
I'd have to be pretty rich in order to rush.
You wait for the ABC. Come on.
Yeah, no, totally. No, they pay us millions. Don't you listen to standard estimates? Yeah. But look, I think with Schmeitgeist, I just felt like there was a lot of, like, I've kind of dipped in and out. I was a bit of a latecomer to pop culture and cultural journalism, even though I'm someone who really is very like, I'm a cultural consumer. Like I love the arts, and I perform and I'm a creator, and so it should have been more interesting to me. But I think a lot of the time we just sort of talk about what's new and what's out there, and it feels like a bit of an incomplete picture. Whereas I think I was more interested in looking into like internet trends and why, like the bigger kind of waves and movements that are happening in society, because we are at this moment of quite intensive change, and we've got all this kind of new tech and these new ways of being in the world and understanding each other, and precious little tradition in Australia, I would argue, when it comes to understanding why and the kind of the why questions, the analysis. We're very good at talking about like new film out, this, that, pop culture, maybe some celebrity news or whatever. Oh, and this meme is new, but kind of going, okay, let's step back and go, why is this happening? And what does it say about us? I think that's like, and we need to talk about that. I think that's like if we're missing that in Australia, then that's a real gap in the fence.
Do you have any, are you coming back for a second season? Because it finished up a couple of weeks ago, I believe.
Yeah, well, we really hope so. I'm really hopeful that that'll happen. Definitely watch this space.
Excellent. Can't wait.
Yeah.
What's the hardest thing about writing for, say, Gruen or Question Everything? Is it like timelines, or is it sort of collaborative, that if you're writing with someone else, or sort of the concept you're sort of trying to come up with, or what do you find sort of a challenge in there? Well,
I ended up writing for Gruen, and then I sort of had to put QE's on air now, and I had to pull out because I'm working on a different project. But I'm working on. I did write for Gruen a little, and it was my first real foray into TV writing. And what I found really cool about it was, the coolest thing about it was also the hardest thing about it, which is trying to write for someone else's voice. Like the Will Anderson is funny in such a singular and iconic way that you sort of have to go like, it's almost like doing an impression of him, and trying to sort of be Will, which was super weird having grown up listening, like watching him on Glass House,
I can imagine.
Listening to him on Triple J Breakfast, and just being like a bit of a Will fan from way back. and then going, oh, now write some jokes for the man. It's like, okay. But yeah, it was great. It was a great experience. It was great fun. And I, love to do more stuff like that. Just need more hours in the day.
Yeah.
Yes, it definitely sounds like it, without a shadow of a doubt. So, I know a little while ago you did. It might have even been on the Signal. I can't remember. Actually, just talking about the Signal. Why? What's the reason? Why did that one wrap up? That was such a brilliant podcast. I was almost crying when that finished.
That's sweet. I mean, why does anything end?
Yeah.
I think, it's such a big job. Like it's quite like a heavy task, right? Being the daily news podcast for the ABC.
Yeah, it was full on. Yeah, it was.
We're the national broadcaster, and I think, if you listen to what they make now, which is a fantastic podcast called ABC News Daily, it is very different to what we did. It's a little bit more. It's closer to the model of, say, if you've ever listened to Daily by the New York Times, you might hear some similarities there. It's a lot more kind of neutral and less personality.
Correct.
I think, the ABC's. I'm guessing here. I wasn't in the room making the decisions about what the new podcast would sound like, but I can imagine there would be an appeal in wanting to reach as many people as possible, being the
older generation. That's, I think, where you're looking at.
Maybe reach an older generation, and we were kind of there to talk to younger people in particular.
Yeah,
it's really good to be able to do that in a new way, actually. Like I'm still kind of trying to talk to people my age and younger, which is not something that everyone gets to do. And I'm quite happy doing it. And like 4 years was ages as well, by the way. Like,
that's true.
That's a long time in podcast world.
Yeah, I was I just wanted to refresh it, and
every day. It was full on
all the way through the pandemic as well, which, as we all know, that was 10 years rather than 2.
That's true.
And so I couldn't be happier to be no longer talking about the plague, the war, and tonight the budget. To be like focused squarely on internet culture.
Yeah.
My question with Schmeitgeist, Kidcore, I listen to it, but I still can't get my head around it. I've never even heard of the concept. Like, how did you sort of realize that this was a thing? Apart from researching, I assume you must have had some little bit of an idea of what you were looking for before you were going to interview these different people.
Yeah, well, I think so. Kidcore's a really interesting one, and just for the uninitiated people who haven't heard the podcast, it's the aesthetic and kind of, I guess, broader cultural movement that's adjacent to that, which is re-inhabiting a childlike frame of mind and like just dressing like a kid at its basics. So whether that's like colorful stuff and glitter and puffy paint and sort of shapeless stuff, and we all know how kids dress, but seeing it on adults is kind of maybe a new thing. And I think like all trends, you kind of know it's a thing. If you don't just hear it from one place, you like hear about it, and then you go, oh, I've seen that everywhere. And I know friends who do it. I know people who do it, and I've seen that on the internet, and I've seen it in this place, and you kind of go, yes, it is a thing, a capital T thing. And the way it first came up is because it was towards the end of an interview about Crocs, and I was asking, okay, why? And it was just a thought that I had on the spot. I was like, the other thing that occurs to me is that my parents didn't have the option to dress this weird when they were my age. Like there was like a narrower repertoire for aesthetics. And I guess, the repertoire has expanded in a few directions, but it just feels like it's more acceptable now for adults to dress less seriously. And I think that says something really interesting. That's an interesting kind of marker for a bigger cultural moment. All these people who've come of age and kind of gone, we're rejecting the normative signifiers of adulthood, and how that then feeds back into behavior is another interesting question that we certainly didn't have time for in half an hour. But I think Kidcore, and then we sort of followed that rabbit hole and found, I guess, regressionist behaviors online, people sort of then behaving like kids as well, which is a separate thing, you should say, and often like it's sort of it's got a psychiatric or a psychological.
I was gonna ask. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. Yeah.
But yeah,
Is that common here in Australia? Is that a trend that's happening in Australia? Or is it all around the world?
kidcore or
The kidcore. Yeah, the kidcore. Yeah.
I was also. I mean, I think the thing is, I know a lot of people. I think there's a lot of people in the queer community as well. You know, who are really just dressed in a silly way, like, and it's just, and it's
freedom, I guess.
There are whole brands that are dedicated to it, and it's not necessarily the super weird stuff, but I think you can see the beginning of it. It's a bit of a cliche now, but Gorman girls, like there was this brand that came out of Melbourne that was quite big in, I don't know, sort of with millennial women called Gorman, and they had these big sort of, everyone like started dressing like a kindergarten teacher, which is maybe like a gateway drug to dressing like you're actually in kindergarten. That was something that was big about 10 years ago, and I think we've just sort of seen everyone move further in that direction. And people who I spoke to about it and interviewed about it, like they just want to inhabit that frame of mind. They like the effect that it has on other people as well, like seeing it brighten someone else's day. Obviously, I wear mainly black, so I can't really relate, but I have noticed that people started treating me because I dyed my hair pink. It's like a thing. People react differently to you when they see color, and I kind of get it.
Yeah.
Does that affect you? That wouldn't affect you in any way at the ABC, would it? If you do things like that?
Oh no, I don't think so. I think in general in news, there is a bit of an imperative to dress neutrally because you're sort of seen to be as this, like that you're this avatar for centrism, and so you sort of have to strip yourself of identifiers. But even that is changing. I think there's a real acceptance of difference and diversity and in every sense of that word, and that we are starting to see that creep into representation in news as well, because there is no such thing as the center. If you decide on what that is, you're inevitably going to be excluding people and setting something up as the norm, whether that's like people who are white or people who are a certain age or people who only dress in business attire. That's massively exclusive of a huge chunk of the population. And so, I think we've really advanced, not just the ABC, but news organizations in general have kind of advanced in their thinking on that front. A little bit more sophisticated.
I think the ABC is leading in that diversity race at the moment, because you see it across all the formats. You see a lot of women, a lot of people from the LGBTQI, a lot of people of color, different cultural backgrounds, whereas on the mainstream channels you still see a lot of white, pale, male style people there. So yeah, I think ABC is the leader there, which is good to see.
SBS is doing a magnificent job.
Of course, them as well. Yeah,
they would. You could argue they beat us all to it.
True.
But yeah,
that's how it started, I guess. Yeah,
I think what's really interesting is that there are so many people who just don't engage with that at all anymore. Like any of that stuff. Like, the news on linear platforms is just, the people who I know and who are sort of younger than me, very few of them are regularly engaging with traditional news media as we would understand it. So of course there is the imperative to for those organizations to modernize and to become more inclusive and sophisticated in how they represent themselves. But it's just so much bigger than that, in that we're moving away from a world in which there's a central canon and a monoculture at all.
Yeah, exactly.
I noticed that obviously, as we said before, you performed around the world. When you were in Edinburgh, how were you received? Really well over there? I've seen a lot of comedy in Edinburgh.
I think we've lost him.
We might have lost him. I think the question was something like, how did the Edinburgh run go?
Yeah, and how you were received, because they're
Yeah.
quite an unforgiving audience.
No, they were lovely. This is the thing. I actually had the nicest run over there. And I I didn't know what to expect, because I think, post-pandemic, going back into a live context is like, are people going to show up? Are people going to be freaked out about being in a room and being like breathed on? But they're significantly further ahead in their thinking. And I don't necessarily mean this is better, but they are in the UK just in the kind of mindset where, what pandemic? It never happened. At least that's how it was when I was over there.
Yeah. What year was that? Was that 2021?
That was,
this year.
So just
This
gone.
year.
I've just
gone.
2 years. Yeah, because Edinburgh Fringe didn't happen in 2020 or 2021. So this is
Right.
the first
Okay. Like
it
a
sort
lot
of
of
happened
events.
in 2021, but it was kind of it's like 6
Local
people in a tent.
Yeah. Yeah. No
Um,
internationals.
Not really. Whereas this year it was kind of I mean, in terms of reviews and things like that, the only thing I would say that was really hard, and there's a kind of a reckoning coming, I think, in this way, in that it's a kind of broken corner of the industry, is that in the same way that a lot of organizations and took a hit, and a lot of people lost their jobs in the pandemic, something that really hasn't come back is arts criticism, particularly in the UK. I mean, it was just impossible to get a review. But I mean, the audience, I've sold out a lot, so it was well received in that sense. People really came to the show; they responded well to the show.
Yeah.
But whether or not, you just kind of, you didn't get the reviews. It just wasn't really there, like it was like it has been in years gone by. So. But anyway, yeah, I loved being over there, and it was absolute food for the soul.
Yeah. Which comedians do you look up to, or do you enjoy watching, listening?
Great question.
I think my favourite thing that I saw this year at Edinburgh was Dr. Brown, who's also
Not Dr. Chris Brown, is it? The vet.
No.
Okay. I don't know Dr. Brown.
Dr. Brown is a clown based in LA. His name is Phil Burgers. He is trained by the French clown master Philippe Gaulier, who has trained a lot of clowns. And I don't mean like clowns in the sense like, like Red Nose, Hong Kong.
No. Yeah, no, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, you're familiar with clown as a kind of broader concept in theatre.
Like Jeffrey Rush type of thing.
Not better, I would say. But yeah, so Dr. Brown created this magic show. Well, not literally a magic show, because they do have those over there in Edinburgh at the same time. But a show that was, I laughed harder than I'd laughed at anything else, but it wasn't mime, but he didn't speak either. Like there were some noises, but the capacity to communicate through stillness and focus, and really just kind of being deliberative with how you move around the stage, but very beautiful as well. He does have some bits and pieces on Netflix and online more generally.
Oh wow! Okay.
Check him out. So Dr. Brown is the guy to look for. Elf Lines did a fantastic job. Josh Glantz was great, but he's on the Australian Festival circuit too, and Josh is directing my show next year.
Which comes to my next question. So did you do the Melbourne Comedy Festival this year? You did?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't believe I missed it.
I'm
not happy about that. You'll be back. Good. And what is the show you?
Oh, you're dropping that out there, Kegsta.
I reckon I can guess what the question is.
Come on.
Which is, what's the show I'm going to bring to Melbourne Comedy Festival next year? And just taking a wild stab in the dark.
That is correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's called
TPG.
Okay, you guys are the first ones to be
Just
told
right
this.
now.
Oh wow!
Right
Awesome exclusives. Love exclusives.
Yeah. So it's going to be called Your Mother. Are you there? Okay.
Yeah, he's excited. No, it's go. Yep.
It's going to be called Your Mother Chucks Rocks and Shells. which
Mother
is
chats, rocks, and shelves. Okay. Is
So-
there context to that?
yes, I'm getting to it. So the whole show is about trying to that kind of
Come
3
on,
a.m.
internet. Seriously.
Oh no, do we have you?
Carry on. He'll join us.
Yeah, he'll
He'll
join
be
us.
right.
So
Yeah.
the whole show is about like that
Ah.
3 a.m. vibe where you're trying to get to sleep and you absolutely can't get to sleep and you try everything. And one of the things, so we it's kind of absurd sketch. This is the show that I'm going to be making. But one of the things that we try is obviously, the age-old trick. You try watching a film, and the film The Exorcist. What better film to send you to sleep than The Exorcist? And I don't know if you guys remember the scene in The Exorcist where Reagan is at the height of her possession, and she says, "Your mother something's in hell." And I'm just bleeping that out because you did mention that it was we're family friendly.
Oh, no, we're not. I was taking the piss.
Oh, my God. All right. So your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Okay.
So your mother chucks rocks in hell is like a reference to that.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah, there's like a
Got
whole
it.
range of
Nice.
ways that we
I
try
like
and fail
Brilliant.
to get to sleep
Brilliant.
in this new show that I'm writing.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Well, I'm going to have to make a trip to Melbourne to have
Definitely not missing that one. Yeah,
to go
I'm
watch that.
missing that one. No, definitely seeing that one. And
I'm
it's
ex-Melbourne,
been
so I'll have to
fantastic
go
tonight.
Hmm.
It's
Go on, mate.
really, really appreciated your time.
It's
I
been
don't know if you
such
can hear
a pleasure to talk to you guys. I feel like we've covered a lot of ground, like an
We
impressive
have.
amount of ground.
And thank you for your time. It's been
No, it's-
quite enjoyable. And hopefully we'll
I'm
get to
sorry
listen
about
to Schmeitgeist very
TPG wanting
soon.
to do work. Sorry about that.
It's all right. I'll see you guys.
All right. Thanks very
Thank you
much.
so much.
Take care.
Oh, come on, TPG. Disgraceful.
The
I don't know if you
internet.
can hear me. I'm really not sure.
I can hear you
Yes.
with
it's
all
got-
your grunts and
Oh, my
complaints.
God.
Oh
Oh,
dear. Of
seriously.
all
I
days for it to
couldn't be
happen.
more. I know. I couldn't be more unhappy. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this because hopefully it'll work.
Have you told the whole
I'm
family
gonna
to
play
get
this.
off Netflix
So-
or any other streaming services?
Yeah, it doesn't make any difference because I'm coming from my phone at the moment.
Ah, right. I see.
I'm having to hotspot. So
Wow.
anyway,
hotspotting.
so we referenced at the start of the show if Ange was wearing pants, and it wasn't a sexist question, any of that. So I thought I would just give the reference to back up.
Oh, can't hear anything.
Except-
You haven't
except-
got to share your screen.
No, you can't hear anything.
No, because you got to share it because you dropped out and you
Been
came back in.
a little
remember?
bit of a shit show. TPG. I'm writing to TPG. I'm writing to TPG. I'm not impressed at all.
Oh, gifts! They're bones! Little bone for you, little bone for you. Here's what friends do for each other. And before long, I was quite lost, and I found myself in a glen made entirely of bones and mud. And then a bird came and took my hat. Friends. Like I had all these questions for God that were going unanswered, like some really serious ones, like, is heaven a physical place or is it just a metaphor? Bone for you. Yeah, good. And some of the questions were even more serious, like, why giraffes? Repeat after me. Dear Krampus, I curse you because you deserve it. Thank you for the bones. I'm out there and I'm on you. I'm literally on you. We promise to be very good. I emerged from this whole experience with no God. Please do not boil us and use our bones as gifts to other people. Kind of boils down to wanting to believe in magic, right? Wanting to be saved.
Adelaide Fringe Festival. What year was that?
That was 2020.
2020. Oh wow. During COVID. Must have been early on.
I
had no
apologize.
restrictions.
That was 2021.
Ah,
And
last year.
2020 is and that in 2020 she won the weekly award at the Adelaide Fringe. So she was able to do the Adelaide Fringe 2020 and 2021. which is interesting.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Week about the pandemic, etc. So,
Mm.
I absolutely appreciate Ange's time. It's of the essence because she's got so much on.
Oh, she does. She's talk about juggling and clowns.
Yes,
she's got so many things on. It's amazing.
It's crazy, but you can sort of tell just by having a chat that that she loves the diversity and sort of lives for what she's doing, and in a way, I totally understand what she means. I mean, I'm the same. I love diversity. I love being involved, doing many different things, but as you know, there's only so many hours in the day, and unfortunately, our day jobs do take up a lot of that time. So.
Exactly.
But anyway, I thought we may do this, and then we'll go into a bit of econobabble since it is budget night, and I'm assuming you've got a little bit of stuff there.
We have.
The Australia Institute produces high-quality research that has real-world impact, whether it's revealing the $10.3 billion in fossil fuel subsidies provided by federal and state governments last year, or our long-standing research advocating for a federal anti-corruption commission with real teeth. We change minds. To donate, head on over to australia.org.au.
Maynard Keynes wrote the book on modern macro, the man you need when the economy's off track. Depression, recession, now your question's in session. Have a seat and I'll see one simple lesson. 1929, the big crash.
It's the economy, stupid.
That's it.
It is the economy, stupid. It is budget night, and I know Wencee's got a stuff, so you can go first, my friend.
Sure. I've got a little bit of a summary of what we're expecting in the budget tonight. It's obviously been won and run already, so he's already announced it. I think he was already heading off to doing his media reports when we went online live tonight. So some of the things that we already knew that was coming were things like paid parental leave was being extended from 18 to 26 weeks. It'll be staggered. I think it's 2 weeks for the next few years until it gets to 26 weeks. Childcare subsidies, which will be costed at about $5 billion over the next 4 years to make childcare cheaper, so we can get more people into the workforce. Aged care reforms was another thing that was going to be talked about. As we know, there was a Royal Commission into aged care and all the things that were lacking. So some of the things that they're wanting to introduce are things like raising the standard of care, ensuring there's a registered nurse in aged care homes 24/7, increasing the transparency of the sector and its funding. And they're estimating $2.5 billion for that. I don't know if that's per year, because that doesn't sound like much for a big sector of the economy. Other things that they wanted to do. $2.5 billion.
Sounds tiny.
No, billion.
Oh, $2.5 billion.
Billion, yeah. That doesn't sound like a
per year,
thing, does it? That wouldn't be
$2.5 billion.
Yeah. At least
for aged care.
Don't
know. I don't know. I don't know what the budget is for aged care.
Yeah, well, that's just one of the things that they were talking about, but they didn't specify what I read. Didn't specify what time period that $2.5 billion was.
Well,
the other thing
I've
they
got
want
a couple
to.
of. Okay.
Oh yeah, you go.
No, I was just going to say, you're talking about aged care. I've got one here on seniors. Almost 70 million has been allocated to increase the income threshold for seniors' health card from 61,000 to 90,000 for singles and 98,000 to 144,000 for couples, which is pretty good. The amount pensioners can earn before their pension is reduced, and this is a really important one, because this affects so many people as they're getting older on how much they can actually earn before they don't get a pension. And then, and then they want to work, but they can't work because they they'll lose all their pension, etc., and maybe what they're getting isn't enough to get by on. But that's the thing, it's like if it's just to do this little bit of work that is making me feel valued in the community, etc. If I do too much of it, I can't get my pension. But if I do just enough, I don't have enough to live on. But if I do just that little bit more, I can actually have a slightly better life. But I can't because they'll take my pension away. Yeah. So it's a horrible catch-22 situation. So the amount pensioners can earn before their pension is reduced will be increased. This is pretty good. From 7,800 to 11,800.
Right.
So 4,000 over a year. That's approximately, I think, $300. $300 a month. I think. I think it's about right. I think 12,336. That'd be something. Yeah, it's something like that. $320 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
And when you've paid off your house, I mean, when you're older and you sort of pension age, a lot of people have paid off their house. I understand there's people that wouldn't have, but when you're in that situation that you have and you've got just enough, and that 4,000 will make a big difference. So,
it does make a difference,
and 74 million will be provided to encourage pensioners to downsize homes, including by extending the assets test exemption for principal home sales proceeds from 12 months to 24 months. So, yeah, that's pretty from a senior's perspective, I would have thought. But, I mean, obviously, they'll have more analysis on that tomorrow. Sorry.
Yes. That's all right. What were the other things that they were going to announce? $2.5 billion for NBN for equity investment. So that would be to bring more fiber, I guess, to the home. So replace some of the crappy networks, like maybe like what you've got right now, what you've been suffering tonight. Yes, bloody internet. They've got an ambitious plan to build 1 million homes by the end of the decade. That's in collaboration with state and other federal departments to increase the housing crisis that we're in at the moment, which I thought was quite interesting, considering that the last 10 years there've been 930,000, I think it was, homes being built in the last 10 years. So it's not really that ambitious. I don't think it's just almost like a natural growth anyway. So I'd like to see more of the detail in that.
I've got one here for Double J listeners. This is an interesting one. The ABC will have funding it lost as a result of the former coalition government's freeze on annual increases restored, with 83.7 million over 4 years. So I wish Ange was on the show when we said that, because hopefully.
So was that just Double J or all of the ABC?
Look, I think it'll be all the ABC, but I just want to get this off just before we go any further, because actually I'm not going to bother doing that, but that's fine. So Double J, the ABC's digital music channel for older Triple J listeners, will get a additional $500,000 to be directed towards a feasibility study into the expansion of Double J to FM frequencies. So so that's pretty good. I can tell you from a radio perspective, when it's not hugely funded, $500,000 is a lot of money. That'll go a long way. In a commercial sense, it wouldn't, but I would have thought at Double J, definitely worth being able to use that extra. But it's beautiful that 83.7 million over 4 years. So that's great. So we're talking 84 over. So we're talking 20, aren't we? We're talking about 21 million a year extra for the next 4 years.
That's good.
I'm
sure they've had more taken out in the past from previous governments, but it's good to get some of it back, which is great.
Totally.
Because we know some of the shows we've reviewed on What's on the Box have come from the ABC, so we know they can do quality stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. This just helps out with not just the front-facing stuff that we see, but also the staff that work behind the scenes and things like that. So that'd be good.
Well, a brilliant guest tonight, ABC.
Yes, exactly.
So, sensational.
Exactly.
You've got some more. I've got some more bits here, but have you got others?
Yes. So they've also introduced wellbeing measures in this budget. What does that mean?
Measures. Did you say whelping measures?
Whelping, or possibly well-being.
Well-being measures. Right. Okay. Cool.
So,
I think that's a brilliant idea. That's that
so.
idea is not. It's not a new. I think they already do it in Iceland, Finland, and Sweden, I believe, and New Zealand is one
Canada.
of the. And Canada, correct. And New Zealand is one of the ones that's been using it, I think, for about the last 4 years. So, so I think it's a really good idea. But so they talk about...
I was just going to say that for that measurement, they're measuring things like education levels, health standards, and the state of the environment. So that encompasses the well-being of the nation. And I guess if everyone's working, they're healthy, or they're learning, and the environment's going well, I guess it makes people happy to work and spend, of course. But it'd be interesting to see how New Zealand and the other countries have fared since they introduced their wellbeing measures, because it's not an overnight thing. I don't believe. You'd have to track it over several years to see how.
No, they talked about it before. Yeah, they talked about it before they came to government. So it's not like a brain fart as such.
No. I can only imagine the coalition would have laughed at the well-being measures.
Well, you mentioned that. I thought I would just play this little bit.
The member for Canning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Treasurer. Will the Treasurer outline to the House how the Morrison government's economic plan and responsible fiscal management has been working to ensure that the government lives within its means? And is the Treasurer aware of any alternative plan that would damage the economy?
That is cool. Dorothy
Mr. Speaker,
Dixon.
and I thank the member for coming for his question, and note that he has served this country with distinction and uniform, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, when we came to government, unemployment was rising, investment was falling, and the budget was deep in the red. Since coming to government, we committed to our plan to create more than 1 million jobs, and we've created more than 1.5 million jobs, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Sydney.
We committed to through the Parliament cuts, and we committed.
Really don't need to hear this guy very much. Yeah.
No, the internet playing up as well.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah, it's cutting out.
Alternative approaches. Well, we know those opposite prefer well-being
here we go.
balanced budget, Mr. Speaker. And they are led. They are inspired. They are inspired by their spiritual leader, that member for Rankin, Mr. Speaker. The member for Rankin, Mr. Speaker. And I was thinking yesterday,
as much of it as it's heard that he is and was,
fresh from
he
his
is quite funny.
deep in the mountains of the Himalayas, barefoot into the chamber, robes flowing, incense burning.
It's well written. I would assume he must have wrote that. It is quite funny. Yeah. But I apologise anyone that heard my grunts and really annoying sounds when I was on the air. I really apologise for that, because I had no idea what anyone could hear anything. So poor old Ange, that mustn't have gone down too well.
That was funny, I must admit.
Oh, good. As long as it was funny, that's all right. Because it wasn't funny for me.
No, frustrating for you, I'm sure.
Stupidly so, because anyway, it doesn't matter. So another one is tax dodgers in this budget. The 2022 budget includes significantly increasing funding for ATO's tax avoidance task force in an effort to close tax loopholes of multinational tax integrity package will raise about $1 billion over 4 years, while the shadow economy and personal income tax will raise $3.7 billion over 4 years. Look, between you and I, $1 billion over 4 years is 4/5 of fuck all.
Yeah.
And personal income tax of 3.7 is 4/5 of fuck all as well. We've got this massive freaking $254 billion elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And we go, oh, well, we're going to save this $3 billion and we're going to get $1 billion back. You're just like, oh, my God.
That's just pocket change, people.
Oh, it's just ridiculous. It does annoy me because we don't need it. We do not need it. No one needs it. I mean, sorry. Some people do need it, but the people that need it aren't going to get it. That's the whole thing.
No. And the people who don't need it will get it.
It's a
really
terribly, it's a shockingly targeted package. It's really, really bad. So, anyway, have you got any more? I've got one more, and then that'll be
the environment's another winner, or the renewables. There's $800 million earmarked for a range of projects. They include previously promised cuts to taxes on electric cars, improving electric vehicle charging network infrastructure, and providing community batteries and solar banks, which is good. So I guess hopefully they'll introduce some incentives with less taxes on electric cars, make it cheaper.
Well, I thought there was meant to be a discount coming.
Oh, that's what I'm hoping. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought was meant to be happening. So, but apparently the arts are a winner here as well, which is good because, as we know, they didn't get anywhere near enough in the pandemic. The coalition just treated them like shit off a shoe.
They didn't get anything,
disgraceful.
During COVID?
Anyway, there were almost no new initiatives. Well, I'm just having a look. There was almost no new initiatives for the arts, with most announcements small, involving redirecting funds remaining from the COVID response sector, blah, blah, blah. Expenses under the arts and cultural heritage subfunction are estimated to decrease by 20.6%. Government said its commitment to deliver a national cultural policy is currently under development. So they haven't, in this particular budget, they haven't done a lot for the arts, but you got to remember they've got another budget in May.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just an interim one, I guess.
So, yeah, so I'd be really surprised if they don't do something. Have a proper, program for the arts. Then that would surprise me greatly if that wasn't the case. So
yeah, exactly. But we'll put in the show notes all the winners and losers, I guess, after this show, so people can see.
Yes.
Whether they're
I think that's probably
ahead or behind.
Probably a good idea, I think.
I can't take it anymore.
Having fun tonight. Just having so much fun.
That was the wrong steam.
Yes, it was.
102 episodes in,
Yes,
and we're still we're pros at this.
Look at this though. I don't know if you can see me, but I could see me. I've sped up. I've slowed down. TPG, thanks very much. Thanks very much.
Don't worry.
Do you know,
I can see
I only just got the text.
What text?
I only just got the text from TPG. God.
Right, so there was a problem with TPG.
That's what I was trying to tell you. I only just got a text. As soon as it went down, I only just got a text then. They said, we're doing work in your area at 8:30 to 9. I'm like, thanks very much.
No.
So,
thanks for the warning.
Yeah, fantastic. Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, great. Anyway, it was an absolute delight having Ange on the show tonight, and really appreciate her time. It was indeed. The potty will be out on anyway from Thursday onwards, so look out for it in your best podcast apps, as Wencee would say. Anything you want to say, Wencee?
Don't forget to share and like, and any comments, just throw them our way. We'll answer.
Oh, have you got the contact email, etc. there?
Of course, it's blurtstar@gmail. Let me throw that up on the ticker. So
Lovely work.
See it.
Anyone joining us? Anyone joining us? Yep. Beautiful.
Or you can subscribe
if you're not,
at thenewblurt.substack.com. We send out a newsletter every time we send out a podcast, so you can be up to date with what we're discussing every week.
and if you're a subscriber, we have started to send out some polls as well for a bit of fun, and you can have a bit of fun and interact with those as well. And also look out for Blurt new Twitter channel that has polls, interaction. We've always got things going on in the channel, and an Instagram page. There's always new guests coming up. As I said before at the start of the show, we've got a new guest coming up end of November from the Australian Institute. And also we will have one very soon around that time, I think, for Party in the USA as well. So watch this space. I apologize for the internet. It's not much I can do about it.
That's okay. And next
I hope you
week,
enjoyed the show.
Next week, where are you going to be?
Oh, yes. I forgot. Yes. Next week, I'll be across the Dutch. We'll do Across the Dutch. And and I'll talk
bring
about
that segment back.
Yes. I'll take a few photos and hopefully I can bring them up. Hopefully it's not raining. It's raining there at the moment, apparently. Been quite windy,
okay.
So.
And what
But
else
anyway,
have we got on the
they
show
should be
next
some
week?
nice photos. No idea. Not a clue. Oh, yes.
Education.
Education is back.
It's back. Looking forward to that New Zealand brew.
Yes, I am actually. It should be very.
That's your second visit this year, isn't
Well,
it?
my friend. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is.
Nice.
And we can discuss that a little bit more on the show.
Yes, we will.
Awesome. So thank you very much, anyone who joined us tonight. Thank you to the listener, if you are the listener on the pod, and we will see you very soon. Thanks very much.
On the live pod. All right. Good night. Till next week.
See you, Wendy. Wendy? See you, Wencee.
Wencee.